If you're a woman over 50 and you've ever felt like your magnetism disappeared with your youth, if you've looked in the mirror and wondered where that confident, radiant version of yourself went, if you've started to believe that being attractive, being desired, being truly seen is something reserved only for younger women, I need you to stop right there. Because everything you've been told about what makes a woman irresistible is a lie. Society sold you a formula. Youth equals beauty. Beauty equals worth. Worth equals being wanted. And when youth fades, so does everything else. But psychologist Walter Riso, who has spent decades studying human behavior and attraction, discovered something radical. The women who remain magnetic, irresistible, and deeply attractive after 50 are not the ones who look the youngest. They are the ones who embody 10 specific habits. Habits that have nothing to do with your face, your body, or your age, and everything to do with your presence, your energy, and your self-worth. Walter Riso teaches that attraction is not biological, it's behavioral. It's not what you look like, it's how you show up. The women who turn heads at 55, 60, 65, 70 are not trying to compete with 30-year-olds. They're operating on a completely different frequency. A frequency that younger women haven't even discovered yet. Because true magnetism doesn't come from smooth skin or a tight body. It comes from a woman who knows who she is, what she wants, and what she will not tolerate. And today, I'm going to walk you through the 10 habits that create this kind of irresistible presence. These are not cosmetic tips. These are not tricks to look younger. These are behavioral shifts that will transform how people experience you, how they feel around you, how they remember you long after you've left the room. Here's what we're going to cover in the next minutes. 10 habits. Each one will be broken down into 4 parts. First, what the habit actually is. Second, why most women over 50 don't practice it. Third, the exact steps to build it into your life. And fourth, a real story of a woman who transformed her presence by adopting this habit. This is not theory. This is application. This is change you can implement today. But before we go deeper, I need to ask you for something simple. If you're a woman over 50 who is tired of feeling invisible, who knows there's more to you than what the world sees, who is ready to reclaim your magnetism not by chasing youth but by embodying power, subscribe to this channel right now. This is Enough and Whole. This is your space. This is where we remind each other that you are not fading. You are becoming. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. Let's walk this path together. Now let me be clear about something. When I say irresistible, I don't mean sexually irresistible, though that can be part of it. I mean the kind of woman people want to be around. The kind of woman who walks into a room and shifts the energy. The kind of woman whose words carry weight, whose presence commands respect, whose absence is felt. That's magnetism, and it has nothing to do with how many wrinkles you have. Walter Riso calls this authentic charisma, and it's built through habits, not genetics, not luck, habits. Which means you can learn them, you can practice them. You can become this woman starting today, no matter where you are right now. So, let's begin. Let's uncover the 10 habits that make women over 50 not just visible, but unforgettable. Habit number 1. She takes up space unapologetically. The first habit of irresistible women over 50 is this. They take up space. Not physically, though posture matters. Emotionally, verbally, energetically, they don't shrink. They don't apologize for being in the room. They don't make themselves smaller to make others more comfortable. They exist fully. And that fullness is magnetic. Most women over 50 have been trained to do the opposite. You've been conditioned to shrink, to be quiet, to defer, to not take up too much space, because that's what good women do. Especially as you age. You're supposed to step back, let the younger generation lead, fade into the background gracefully. And so you do. You lower your voice. You cut your sentences short. You apologize before you even speak. I'm sorry, but I was just thinking. I don't want to bother you, but I know this is silly, but every apology is a signal that says, I don't belong here. I'm taking up space I shouldn't occupy. Please tolerate my presence. And the world reads that signal, and it treats you accordingly. It ignores you. It talks over you. It forgets you were even there. But irresistible women over 50 reject this completely. They walk into rooms like they own them, not with arrogance, with certainty. The certainty that they have just as much right to be there as anyone else. They speak without preambles. They make eye contact. They sit without crossing their legs into the smallest possible shape. They laugh loudly if something is funny. They disagree openly if they think something is wrong. Why is this so hard for women over 50? 3 reasons. First, lifetime conditioning. From childhood, you were taught that taking up space is unfeminine, unladylike, aggressive. You learned to be accommodating, quiet, pleasant, and for decades, that served you in certain ways. It kept the peace, it made others comfortable, but now it's making you invisible. Second, internalized ageism. You've absorbed the cultural message that older women should recede, that your time in the spotlight is over, that younger, fresher voices deserve the floor. So you step aside, not because you want to, but because you think you should. Third, fear of judgment. You're afraid that if you take up space, people will call you bossy, loud, difficult, too much, and those labels feel terrifying. So you stay small to stay safe. But here's what Walter Riso teaches. The judgment you fear already happened. The world already decided you're invisible. So what exactly are you protecting by staying small? You're not avoiding judgment. You're confirming it. The moment you take up space, you shatter the invisibility. And yes, some people won't like it. But the right people, the people worth your energy, will finally see you. So how do you build this habit? How do you start taking up space when you've spent decades shrinking? Step 1. Posture reset. Right now, wherever you are, sit up straighter. Roll your shoulders back. Uncross your legs. Plant your feet flat on the ground. Open your chest. This is not about appearing confident. This is about signaling to your nervous system that you have the right to be here. Your body teaches your brain. Sit like you belong, and your brain starts to believe it. Step 2. Eliminate apologetic language. For the next 7 days, count how many times you say sorry when you didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry. Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Do you have a minute? I'm sorry. I think I disagree. Every unnecessary sorry is a space you're giving away. Replace it with direct statements. Can I ask a question? Do you have a minute? I disagree, and here's why. No apology, just presence. Step 3. Claim verbal space. In conversations, finish your sentences. Don't trail off hoping someone will fill the gap. Don't let people interrupt you without reclaiming the floor. If someone cuts you off, pause, then say calmly, I wasn't finished. Then continue. You're not being rude. You're teaching people that your words matter. Step 4. Physical space practice. In public spaces, stop making yourself smaller. Don't hug the wall when you walk. Don't squeeze into the tiniest seat. Take the space you need. Put your bag on the seat next to you on the bus if there's room. Stretch your arms when you're standing. You're allowed to exist in 3 dimensions. Let me tell you about Patricia. She's 59. For years, she attended book club meetings where she barely spoke. She'd sit in the corner, nodding along, laughing quietly at jokes. One day she realized she'd been going for 3 years and no one knew her opinions on any of the books. She was just there, invisible. She decided to practice taking up space. The next meeting, she sat in the center of the couch instead of the edge. When the discussion started, she didn't wait to be called on. She jumped in. She shared her perspective. She disagreed with someone's interpretation, respectfully but firmly. And something happened. People leaned in. They asked follow-up questions. They remembered her name. After the meeting, 3 women approached her to continue the conversation. Patricia told me later, I realized I'd been waiting for permission to matter. But no one was going to give me that permission. I had to take it. And the moment I did, everything changed. Not because I said anything brilliant, but because I stopped apologizing for having a voice. That's the power of taking up space. You're not asking the world to see you. You're refusing to stay hidden. And that refusal, that unapologetic presence, is the first habit of irresistible women over 50. Now here's something even more powerful. The second habit builds on this foundation. And when you combine habit 1 and habit 2, you create a presence that people can't ignore. What I'm about to show you next is the habit that turns presence into magnetism. Stay with me. Habit number 2. She listens with full attention. Here's the paradox. The first habit is about taking up space. The second habit is about giving space. And the combination is devastating. Irresistible women over 50 know when to speak and when to listen. And when they listen, they don't just wait for their turn to talk. They listen like the other person is the only person in the room. In a world of distraction, full attention is rare. Most people are half listening while checking their phones, planning their response, or thinking about what's for dinner. But when someone gives you their complete undivided attention, you feel it. You feel seen. You feel valued. And you remember that person. Not because of what they said, because of how they made you feel. Walter Riso teaches that attention is the currency of connection, and women over 50 who are irresistible understand this instinctively. They don't perform attention, they give it. And people are drawn to them because being around them feels different. It feels like finally, someone is really here. Why don't more women practice this? Because we've been taught that being interesting is more important than being interested. We think magnetism comes from talking, performing, entertaining. So we focus on what we're going to say next instead of what the other person is saying now. We interrupt with our own stories. We one-up. We redirect the conversation back to ourselves. And there's another reason. Many women over 50 feel invisible in conversations. So when you finally get a chance to speak, you hold on to it. You talk longer than you need to. You fill every silence, because silence feels like disappearing again. But irresistible women operate differently. They know that listening is not passive, it's active, it's powerful, it's a gift. And people crave that gift. So how do you build this habit? Step 1. Eye contact discipline. When someone is speaking to you, look at them. Not at your phone, not over their shoulder, at them. Let your eyes rest on their face. This is uncomfortable at first if you're not used to it, but it's the foundation of full attention. Step 2. Pause before responding. When someone finishes speaking, count to 2 in your head before you reply. This does 2 things. It shows you're considering their words, not just waiting to talk. And it gives them space to add more if they want to. Most people stop mid-thought because they sense you're ready to jump in. The pause invites depth. Step 3. Reflective listening. Before you share your own story or opinion, reflect back what you heard, so what you're saying is, or it sounds like you're feeling. This simple act shows you were actually listening, and it gives the other person a chance to clarify or go deeper. Step 4. Kill the comparison reflex. When someone shares something, resist the urge to immediately share your similar experience. Oh, that happened to me too. Let me tell you about it. That's not connection, that's competition. Instead, ask a follow-up question. How did that feel for you? What did you do next? Stay with their story before bringing in yours. Elena is 62. She used to talk a lot in social situations. She thought that's what made her interesting. But she noticed people's eyes glazing over. They'd nod politely, then turn to someone else. She felt more invisible the more she talked. Then she tried an experiment. At a dinner party, she decided to ask questions and really listen. She asked her dinner companion about her recent trip, and instead of jumping in with her own travel stories, she asked more questions. What was your favorite moment? What surprised you? How did it change you? The conversation went deep. Her companion opened up about struggles with her aging parents, fears about her own retirement, dreams she'd been too scared to pursue. At the end of the night, the woman hugged Elena and said, "Thank you. I haven't had a conversation like that in years." 2 weeks later, she called Elena for coffee. They've been close friends ever since. Elena told me, "I used to think I had to be fascinating to be liked, but I learned that making others feel fascinating is actually what makes you unforgettable." That's the second habit: full attention, real listening, and it's magnetic because it's so rare. Now, you might be wondering, if I take up space and I listen deeply, when do I actually talk about myself? How do I share who I am? That's where the third habit comes in. And this one is crucial because it's about vulnerability, but not the kind of vulnerability that makes you weak, the kind that makes you human. And what I'm about to share next is even more powerful. Habit number 3. She shares selectively, not desperately. Irresistible women over 50 know the difference between authentic vulnerability and emotional dumping. They share their stories, their struggles, their truths, but they do it with intention. Not as a plea for validation, not as a cry for rescue, as an offering, as a bridge, as proof that they're human. There's a fine line here. Vulnerability creates connection, but desperation repels it, and many women over 50 cross that line without realizing it. You share too much too soon. You unload your entire history on someone you just met. You turn every conversation into a therapy session. You're not trying to manipulate, you're just starving for connection. But the effect is the same. People back away. Walter Riso explains it this way: vulnerability is a gift, but a gift given too freely loses its value. Irresistible women understand this. They don't hide themselves, but they don't perform their wounds either. They share when sharing serves the connection, not when sharing serves their need to be seen. Why do women over 50 struggle with this? Because many of you have been silent for so long. You've spent decades being the listener, the supporter, the one who holds space for everyone else. Your stories got shelved, your pain got swallowed, and now, when someone finally asks, "How are you?" the dam breaks, everything pours out, or the opposite happens. You've been hurt so many times that you've built walls. You share nothing real. You keep every conversation surface level, pleasant, safe, but also empty. And emptiness doesn't create magnetism. It creates polite distance. The third habit is about finding the middle path, sharing enough to be real, but not so much that you're using others as emotional crutches. How do you build this habit? Step 1. The 3-layer rule. Think of sharing as 3 layers. Layer 1 is facts. Where you live, what you do, surface details. Layer 2 is feelings. How you feel about your life, your choices, your experiences. Layer 3 is wounds. Your deepest pain, your traumas, your unhealed places. With new people, stay in layers 1 and 2. Layer 3 is reserved for people who've earned your trust over time. Don't skip layers. Step 2. Ask yourself why. Before you share something vulnerable, pause and ask, why am I sharing this? If the answer is, because I need them to understand me, or because I need validation, or because I'm afraid of silence, don't share yet. Wait until the answer is, because this will help them feel less alone, or because this is relevant to the moment we're in. Share for connection, not for relief. Step 3. Match the energy. If someone shares something deep, you can match that depth. But if the conversation is light, Don't force heaviness. Irresistible women read the room. They don't hijack the mood to process their feelings. Step 4. Have other outlets. You need places to process your pain that aren't social situations. A therapist, a journal, a close friend you've designated as your safe space. When you have outlets, you're not using casual conversations as emergency valves. Susan is 57. She went through a painful divorce at 54. For a year after, every conversation she had turned into a venting session about her ex-husband. She didn't mean to do it, but she was hurt, and she needed people to know. The problem was, people started avoiding her. Invitations dried up, friends stopped calling. One day, a friend was brave enough to tell her, "Susan, I love you, but every time we talk, it's about him. And I don't know how to help you anymore." That hurt. But it also woke Susan up. She realized she'd been using her pain as her identity. She started seeing a therapist. She started journaling. And she made a rule for herself. In social settings, she could mention the divorce if relevant. But she wouldn't dwell. She'd share one sentence, then move on. The change was immediate. People relaxed around her again. Conversations became reciprocal. And here's the interesting part. When she stopped oversharing, people started asking deeper questions. They'd say, "How are you really doing?" And she'd share. But now it felt like connection, not desperation. Susan told me, "I thought if I didn't talk about my pain constantly, people would forget I was hurting. But actually, the less I broadcasted it, the more people genuinely cared." That's the third habit. Selective sharing, intentional vulnerability. It's what separates magnetism from neediness. And now we're about to enter the habits that shift from how you communicate to how you carry yourself. Because words are only part of the equation. Your energy, your presence, your physical being, all of it speaks. And the fourth habit is about your body. But not in the way you think. What's coming next is something most women over 50 never consider. And it's one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Habit number 4. She moves with intention and grace. Irresistible women over 50 understand that how you move your body is how you move through life. And the world reads your movement before you ever open your mouth. Are you rushing? Are you hesitant? Are you fluid? Are you stiff? Every step, every gesture, every turn of your head sends a message. Most women over 50 have stopped paying attention to how they move. You're busy, you're tired, you're just trying to get from point A to point B. So you rush, you slouch, you shuffle. You move like your body is an inconvenience. And people feel that. They feel the disconnection between you and your physical self. And it reads as uncertainty, as invisibility. But women who remain magnetic at 60, 70, 80, they move differently. They move like they're made of water and steel, fluid but grounded, graceful but strong. They don't hurry. They don't apologize with their bodies. They move through space like they own it. And that ownership is hypnotic. Walter Riso teaches that your body is the first language. Before words, before facial expressions, people read your movement. And if your movement says, "I'm uncomfortable in my skin," or "I'm trying not to be noticed," that's the message that lands. But if your movement says, "I am here, I am grounded, I am at ease," people respond to that at a primal level. Why have you stopped moving intentionally? Because somewhere along the way, you started seeing your body as the enemy. It aged, it changed. It stopped cooperating the way it used to. So you disconnected, you stopped dancing, you stopped stretching, you stopped paying attention to the feeling of your feet on the ground or the swing of your arms when you walk. And there's also this. Society tells women over 50 that your body is no longer relevant, no longer beautiful, no longer worth attention. So you treat it that way. You dress it in invisibility. You move it without care. You forget that grace is not about youth. It's about awareness. How do you reclaim intentional movement? Step 1. Slow down. For 1 week, move 20% slower than you normally do. Walk slower. Turn your head slower. Reach for things slower. This is not about being sluggish. It's about being deliberate. When you slow down, you reconnect with your body. You notice how you're moving, and you can adjust. Step 2. Grounding practice. Twice a day, stop whatever you're doing and feel your feet on the ground. Press down. Feel the connection. Rock gently side to side, forward and back. Feel your weight distributing. This simple practice brings you back into your body, and when you're in your body, your movement changes. Step 3. Lengthen your spine. Throughout the day, imagine a string pulling the crown of your head toward the ceiling. This lengthens your spine, opens your chest, lifts your gaze. You immediately look more confident, but more importantly, you feel more confident. Posture and mood are linked. Step 4. Bring back ritual movement. This could be yoga, dancing in your living room, tai chi, walking meditation, anything that reconnects you with the pleasure of movement. Not exercise for calories, movement for aliveness. When you move for joy, your body softens. And that softness is magnetic. Linda is 61. She used to rush everywhere, into rooms, through conversations, through life. She moved like she was always late, always behind. Her daughter once said, "Mom, why do you always look like you're apologizing for being somewhere?" That comment stuck. Linda started paying attention. She realized she moved like she was trying not to be noticed. Hunched shoulders, quick steps, avoiding eye contact. She decided to try something different. She took a beginner's dance class, not to perform, just to feel her body again. At first, she felt awkward, self-conscious, but after a few weeks, something shifted. She started moving with more awareness. She walked into rooms slower, shoulders back. She turned to face people fully instead of talking over her shoulder. She stopped fidgeting. People noticed. Her husband said, "You seem different, more confident." A colleague said, "There's something about you lately. I can't put my finger on it." Linda realized, I wasn't more confident. I was just finally present in my body. And presence is what people feel. That's the 4th habit. Intentional movement. Graceful presence. It doesn't require a perfect body. It requires a connected body. And connection, not perfection, is what makes you irresistible. Now, we've covered how you take up space, how you listen, how you share, and how you move. But there's a habit that ties all of these together. It's the habit of energy management. And if you don't get this right, the first 4 habits won't work. Because you can do everything right externally, but if your energy is wrong, people will feel it. And what I'm about to reveal is something most women over 50 are doing unconsciously that drains their magnetism. Stay with me. Habit number 5. She protects her energy fiercely. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. You are not for everyone. And trying to be for everyone is what's making you invisible. Irresistible women over 50 know this. They don't scatter their energy trying to please, to fix, to accommodate every person they encounter. They choose. They protect. They say no. And that selectivity makes their yes powerful. Energy is finite. Especially as you age, you don't have the same reserves you had at 30, and that's not a weakness, that's information. It tells you to stop wasting energy on people and situations that drain you. It tells you to become ruthlessly selective about where you invest your attention, your time, your emotional labor. But most women over 50 are still operating like they're 30. You say yes to every request. You show up for people who wouldn't show up for you. You carry other people's emotions because you don't want to seem cold or selfish, and meanwhile, you're running on empty. And empty people are not magnetic. They're exhausting. Walter Riso teaches that boundaries are not walls. They're filters. They let in what nourishes you and keep out what depletes you. And women who remain irresistible after 50 have mastered the art of filtering. They know their limits. They honor them. And they don't apologize for them. Why is this so hard? because you've been conditioned to believe that being a good woman means being endlessly available, endlessly giving, endlessly accommodating. To say no is to be selfish. To protect your energy is to be cold. To prioritize yourself is to be a bad mother, bad wife, bad friend, bad daughter. So you keep giving, even when you're depleted, even when you're resentful, even when you're so tired you can barely function. Because stopping feels like failing. But here's the reality. You're not giving from abundance. You're giving from obligation. And people feel that. They feel the resentment under the smile. They feel the exhaustion under the yes. And it doesn't create connection. It creates guilt, awkwardness, distance. Irresistible women give from overflow, not from scarcity. And to have overflow, you must protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. How do you build this habit? Step 1. Energy audit. For 3 days, track your interactions. After every conversation, event, or commitment, ask yourself, did this energize me or drain me? Be honest. Some draining things are necessary, but if most of your life is draining, something has to change. You can't be magnetic if you're depleted. Step 2. Create a no list. Write down 3 things you will no longer do. Maybe it's attending events you hate. Maybe it's listening to a friend who only calls to complain. Maybe it's saying yes to every family obligation. Whatever it is, name it. And commit to saying no without guilt. Step 3. Time boundaries. Decide how much time you'll give to certain people or activities. 1 hour on the phone, then you have to go. 2 visits per month with draining family, not every week. Boundaries around time protect your energy without cutting people off. Step 4. Reclaim your alone time. You need time alone to recharge. Not time doing chores, not time serving others. Time where you are still, quiet, doing nothing but breathing. Schedule it, protect it. Treat it like a doctor's appointment, non-negotiable. Angela is 58. She was everyone's go-to person. Her adult children called constantly with their problems. Her friends vented to her for hours. Her aging mother needed daily check-ins. Angela felt needed, but she also felt invisible. Because no one was asking how she was, no one was giving to her. One day, she collapsed. Not physically, emotionally. She couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't answer the phone. She realized she had nothing left. Her therapist asked her, "When was the last time you said no to someone?" Angela couldn't remember. So they made a plan. Angela would start protecting her energy. She told her children she was available for calls twice a week, not every day. She told her friends she needed reciprocal conversations, not just listening sessions. She hired help for her mother instead of doing everything herself. The first 2 weeks were hard. People pushed back. They called her selfish. They tested her boundaries. But Angela held firm, and something miraculous happened. Her energy came back, and with it, her presence. She started laughing again, engaging again, and ironically, people wanted to be around her more. Because she was no longer running on fumes, she was alive. Angela told me, "I thought protecting my energy would make me lose people. But actually, I lost the wrong people. And the right people respected me more." That's the 5th habit, energy protection. It's not selfish, it's survival, and survival is what keeps you magnetic. Now, if you're resonating with what I'm sharing, I need you to do something right now. Pause this video, go to the comment section, and tell me which of these 5 habits is the hardest for you. Is it taking up space? Is it listening deeply? Is it sharing selectively? Is it moving intentionally? Is it protecting your energy? Tell me, because I read every comment. And I want to know where you're struggling. Let's build this community together. Habit number 6. She cultivates mystery without playing games. Irresistible women over 50 understand that you don't have to reveal everything about yourself to connect. In fact, revealing everything too soon kills intrigue. Mystery is not manipulation. It's restraint. It's the art of leaving space for curiosity. And curiosity is what keeps people coming back. Most women over 50 either overshare or undershare. You either tell your entire life story in the first conversation, desperate to be known, or you reveal nothing, afraid of being judged. But irresistible women live in the middle. They share enough to be real, but they hold back enough to be intriguing. Think about it. When you meet someone who answers every question with a novel, who volunteers every detail without being asked, who leaves no room for discovery, what happens? You lose interest. Not because they're boring, but because there's nothing left to wonder about. You've already seen the whole picture. But when you meet someone who shares thoughtfully, who leaves little hints but doesn't explain everything, who has depth you can sense but haven't fully accessed yet, you're drawn in. You want to know more. You lean forward. You remember them. That's the power of mystery. Walter Riso teaches that attraction lives in the space between known and unknown. Too much known, and there's no pull. Too much unknown, and there's no connection. Irresistible women balance both. Why don't more women practice this? Because loneliness makes you desperate to be seen. And when you're desperate, you overshare. You explain yourself constantly. You justify your choices. You fill every silence with information. You're trying to prove you're interesting. But the effort itself kills the magnetism. Or you've been hurt so many times that you lock yourself away. You give nothing. You deflect every personal question. You think mystery means being closed off. But that's not mystery. That's a wall, and walls don't attract. They isolate. How do you cultivate mystery without playing games? Step 1. Answer questions, but don't elaborate unless asked. If someone asks where you're from, answer. But don't then launch into your entire childhood, your family dynamics, your reasons for moving. Answer the question. Then pause. Let them ask for more if they're curious. Mystery is created by letting others pull information from you, not pushing it onto them. Step 2. Hint at interests without explaining them fully. If someone asks what you do for fun, say something intriguing. I've been learning about Stoic philosophy, or I'm working on a personal project. If they're interested, they'll ask more. If not, you've left an impression without over-explaining. Step 3. Have a life outside of conversations. Mystery isn't manufactured. It's the natural result of having a rich inner life. Read books, take walks, think deeply, pursue hobbies. When you have a full life, you have things to draw from. You have stories you could tell but don't need to. That depth is what people sense. Step 4. Resist the urge to fill every silence. Silence is not awkward. It's space. And space creates curiosity. When you meet someone, don't feel obligated to narrate your entire existence. Let pauses happen. Let them wonder. Let them be curious about what you're thinking. Carla is 56. She used to be what she called an open book. She'd tell anyone everything about herself within minutes. Her reasoning was, I want people to know the real me. But the problem was, people weren't sticking around long enough to actually know her. They'd get the whole download in one sitting and move on. A friend finally told her, Carla, you're fascinating. But you don't let anyone discover that. You just hand it all over at once. So Carla tried something new. At a networking event, when people asked about her work, she gave a one-sentence answer, then asked them a question. When they asked about her personal life, she answered briefly, I have 2 grown kids. I love traveling. Then moved on. Something shifted. People kept circling back to her throughout the night. They'd say, so tell me more about your travels. Or, what made you get into that field? They were curious. Because she hadn't satisfied their curiosity immediately. She'd created space for it to grow. 3 people from that event reached out to her later for coffee. Not because she'd dazzled them with her life story, but because they wanted to know more. That's mystery. not hiding, not game playing, just holding space for discovery. That's the sixth habit. Cultivating mystery through restraint, through having a rich inner life, through letting people come to you instead of pushing yourself onto them. And now we're moving into the habits that shift from behavior to mindset. Because everything we've covered so far, taking up space, listening deeply, sharing selectively, moving intentionally, protecting your energy, cultivating mystery, all of it requires a certain way of thinking, a certain relationship with yourself. And the seventh habit is the foundation of that relationship. What I'm about to share is what separates women who try to be irresistible from women who simply are irresistible. This next habit changes everything. Habit number 7. She genuinely likes herself. This is the habit that holds all the others together, because you can practice every external behavior. You can take up space, listen deeply, move gracefully. But if you don't actually like yourself, people will feel it. They'll sense the performance, the striving, the need for validation. And that need repels magnetism. Irresistible women over 50 have made peace with themselves, not in a "I'm perfect" way, in a "I'm human, and that's enough" way. They've stopped waging war against their flaws. They've stopped apologizing for taking up space on the planet. They've stopped seeking permission to exist. They like who they are, and that liking creates an energy that others want to be near. Walter Riso teaches that self-acceptance is the root of all charisma. Because when you accept yourself, you stop needing others to accept you. And the moment you stop needing acceptance, you become magnetic. It's a paradox. The less you need validation, the more people want to give it to you. But most women over 50 do not like themselves. You tolerate yourself. You criticize yourself. You compare yourself to who you used to be, to other women, to some impossible standard. And that self-rejection leaks out. It shows up in how you apologize for your appearance, how you downplay your accomplishments, how you can't take a compliment without deflecting. Why don't you like yourself? Because you've internalized every message society sent you about your worth. You're too old, too invisible, too irrelevant, past your prime. And somewhere deep down, you believe it. So you're trying to compensate, trying to prove you're still valuable, still desirable, still worthy of attention. But that trying itself confirms the belief that you're not enough. Irresistible women have rejected that entire framework. They've decided arbitrarily that they like themselves, not because they're perfect, not because they've achieved some standard, but because self-rejection is exhausting, and they're done being exhausted. How do you build genuine self-liking? Step 1. Stop the constant self-criticism. For 1 week, notice every time you criticize yourself, your body, your choices, your past, your personality. Notice it. And then say out loud, "I'm done with that thought." You don't have to replace it with affirmations. Just stop reinforcing the criticism. Step 2. List what you actually like about yourself, not what you wish you were, what you actually are. Maybe you're loyal. Maybe you're funny. Maybe you're resilient. Maybe you're a good cook. Write down 5 things. Read them every morning, not to convince yourself, just to remember. Step 3. Treat yourself like someone you care about. If your best friend was struggling, you wouldn't berate her. You'd be kind, encouraging, patient. Give yourself that same treatment. When you make a mistake, talk to yourself like you'd talk to someone you love. Step 4. Stop seeking external validation. This is the hardest one. Start noticing when you're fishing for compliments, when you're performing for approval, when you're seeking reassurance, and practice sitting with the discomfort of not getting it. The more you can validate yourself, the less you need it from others. Maria is 63. She spent her entire life not liking herself. Too heavy, too loud, too much. She was always trying to fix herself. Diets, self-help books, trying to be quieter, smaller, more acceptable. And she was exhausted. One day she asked herself a simple question. What if I just decided to like myself? Not after I lose weight, not after I become less awkward. Now. What if I just decided that I like who I am? It felt absurd at first, like lying. But she tried it anyway. She started treating herself with kindness. When she looked in the mirror, instead of cataloging flaws, she'd say, "There you are." When she made a mistake, instead of spiraling into self-hatred, she'd say, "You're human. It's okay." And slowly, something shifted. She stopped apologizing for her laugh. She stopped hiding in photos. She stopped prefacing every statement with self-deprecation. And people responded. They stopped treating her like she needed to be managed or fixed. They started treating her like someone worth knowing. Maria told me, "I didn't become more confident. I just stopped hating myself." And apparently, that was enough. That's the 7th habit. Genuine self-liking. It's not arrogance, it's peace. And peace is irresistible. Now, we're at the point where I need to check in with you. If this content is landing, if these habits are resonating, do me a favor. Share this video with one woman who needs to hear it. Send it to your sister, your friend, your daughter. Because the world tells women over 50 that they're supposed to disappear, and I'm telling you the opposite. You're supposed to shine. Help me spread this message. Share it now. Habit number 8. She has standards, not demands. There's a difference between having standards and being demanding. Standards are about what you will accept for yourself. Demands are about what you require from others. Irresistible women over 50 know this distinction. They have clear standards, but they don't demand that others meet them. They simply walk away from what doesn't. Standards sound like this. I don't accept disrespect. I value consistency. I need honesty. Demands sound like this. You must call me every day. You have to prioritize me. You should know what I need without me asking. See the difference? Standards are about your boundaries. Demands are about controlling others. Walter Riso teaches that women who remain magnetic as they age have high standards but low demands. They know what they will and won't tolerate, but they don't waste energy trying to force people to change. If someone doesn't meet their standards, they don't argue, they don't negotiate, they don't beg, they just move on. And that calm certainty is powerful. Most women over 50 either have no standards, accepting whatever scraps they're given because they fear being alone, or they have impossible demands, constantly disappointed because no one can meet them. Both extremes come from the same place, a belief that your worth is negotiable. Why is this hard? Because having standards means being willing to walk away. And walking away feels terrifying when you've been taught that being alone is the worst possible outcome. So you lower your standards. You accept less than you deserve. You tell yourself it's compromise. But it's not compromise, it's self-abandonment. Or you go the other way. You create a list of demands so long that no one can ever meet them. And when they fail, you feel justified in your disappointment. But secretly, you're relieved. Because if no one can meet your demands, you never have to risk being vulnerable. Irresistible women operate differently. They know what they need: respect, honesty, consistency, effort. And they communicate those needs clearly. But they don't chase, they don't convince, they don't manage. If someone can't or won't meet those standards, they let them go, with grace, without drama. How do you develop standards without becoming demanding? Step 1. Define your non-negotiables. What are the 3 things you absolutely need in any relationship, romantic or platonic? Not preferences. Non-negotiables. Write them down. These are your standards. Step 2. Communicate them clearly once. Early in any relationship, state your standards, not as ultimatums, as information. I value honesty. I need consistency. I don't tolerate disrespect. Say it calmly, then watch their actions. If they meet your standards, great. If they don't, you have information. Step 3. Stop explaining or justifying your standards. If someone pushes back, don't defend. Don't over-explain. Just repeat, "This is what I need." If that doesn't work for you, I understand. But I'm not changing it. Step 4. Be willing to walk away. This is the hardest part. Standards mean nothing if you don't enforce them. If someone repeatedly violates your standards, leave. Don't threaten. Don't give ultimatums. Just leave. Your standards aren't a negotiation. They're your line. Patricia is 60. She was in a relationship with a man who was inconsistent. He'd disappear for days, then reappear with excuses. She'd beg him to change. She'd explain how his behavior hurt her. She'd give him chances, over and over. Finally, a friend asked her, "What are your standards?" Patricia realized she didn't have any. She'd been so focused on keeping him that she'd never asked herself what she actually needed. She sat down and wrote 3 standards. Consistent communication. Follow through on plans. Respect during disagreements. The next time he disappeared for 3 days without explanation, she didn't call. She didn't text. When he finally reached out, she said calmly, "I need consistency. If you can't give me that, I understand. But I'm done." He promised to change. She told him, "Show me. Don't tell me." For 2 weeks, he was consistent. Then he fell back into old patterns. Patricia didn't argue. She didn't explain again. She just ended it and walked away. 6 months later, she met someone who met her standards naturally. No begging, no managing, just alignment. Patricia told me, "I wasted years trying to convince someone to treat me well. Now I just require it, and if they can't, I move on." That's the 8th habit. Standards, not demands. It's what separates women who beg for respect from women who command it. And now we're approaching the final 2 habits. These are the ones that most women over 50 never think about. But they're the difference between being temporarily attractive and being enduringly magnetic. What's coming next will challenge everything you think about aging, beauty, and worth. Stay with me. Habit number 9. She invests in her growth, not her past. Irresistible women over 50 are not trying to recapture who they were. They're fascinated by who they're becoming. They read, they learn, they try new things, they ask questions, they admit when they don't know something. They're growing, and growth is magnetic at any age. Most women over 50 are stuck in the past. You talk about how things used to be, how you used to look, what you used to do, who you used to be. Every sentence starts with, "I used to." And while nostalgia is fine in small doses, constant backward-looking makes you invisible in the present. Because you're not here, you're living in a memory. Walter Riso teaches that people are drawn to those who are expanding, not contracting. Growth signals life, stagnation signals death, and at 50, 60, 70, you get to choose which signal you send. Are you done? Or are you evolving? Irresistible women over 50 choose evolution. They're learning a language, taking a class, starting a project, reading philosophy, exploring ideas. Not to impress anyone, but because being stagnant is boring, and they refuse to be bored by themselves. Why don't more women invest in growth? Because society tells you that growth is for the young, that after 50, you're supposed to settle, maintain, manage decline. So you stop learning, you stop trying new things. You tell yourself it's too late, and that belief becomes a prison. Or you're exhausted. You spent decades growing for everyone else, your children, your career, your marriage, and now you just want to rest. Which is valid. But rest is different from stagnation. Rest restores. Stagnation drains. How do you invest in growth? Step 1. Choose one thing to learn this year. Not something practical, something that fascinates you. Astronomy, poetry, history, philosophy, dance. Something that makes you curious. Commit to learning it, not mastering it. Learning it. Step 2. Read books that challenge you, not just fiction for escape, books that expand your thinking, books that introduce you to new ideas, Books that make you question what you believe. A mind that's exposed to new ideas stays alive. Step 3. Surround yourself with people who are growing. If all your friends do is complain and reminisce, you'll do the same. Find people who are curious, who ask questions, who are trying things. Their energy will pull you forward. Step 4. Say yes to things that scare you a little, not reckless things, but things outside your comfort zone. A trip alone, a public speaking opportunity, a creative project. Growth happens at the edge of comfort. Elena is 65. After her husband died, she felt like her life was over. She'd been a wife for 40 years. She didn't know who she was without that identity. Her children encouraged her to rest, to take it easy, but rest felt like giving up. So Elena did something unexpected. She enrolled in a philosophy class at the local community college. She'd always been curious about Stoicism, but never had time to study it. The first day, she was terrified. Everyone else seemed younger, smarter, but she stayed. Over the semester, something awakened in her. She had opinions, questions, ideas. She started reading voraciously. She joined a discussion group. She started writing essays for herself, exploring concepts that fascinated her. Her daughter noticed the change. "Mom, you seem so alive." Elena said, "I thought my life was over, but actually it's just starting." That's the 9th habit. Investing in growth. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about not being done. And a woman who's not done is impossible to ignore. Habit number 10. She celebrates other women, especially younger ones. This is the habit that separates secure women from insecure ones. Irresistible women over 50 do not see younger women as threats. They see them as sisters, as daughters, as the next generation. And they celebrate them, they mentor them, they cheer for them, because they understand that there is no competition, there is only connection. Most women over 50 feel threatened by younger women. You compare yourself, you feel invisible next to them. You resent their youth, their energy, the attention they receive, and that resentment leaks out. It makes you bitter, critical, small, and smallness repels magnetism. But irresistible women operate from abundance, not scarcity. They know that another woman's beauty doesn't diminish theirs. Another woman's success doesn't diminish theirs. There's enough space for everyone. And when you truly believe that, you become a magnet. Because women, especially younger women, crave the wisdom and support of older women who aren't threatened by them. Walter Riso teaches that generosity is the ultimate sign of self-worth. When you have nothing to prove, you have everything to give. And women over 50 who are secure in themselves become generous, with praise, with wisdom, with celebration. And that generosity creates a gravitational pull. Why is this hard? Because you've been taught that women are competition. Especially across generations, younger women are taking your place, your relevance, your visibility. So you guard against them, you critique them, you subtly undermine them, you prove you're still relevant by diminishing them. But that strategy backfires, because the more you compete, the more you confirm your insecurity. And insecurity is the opposite of magnetism. How do you celebrate other women genuinely? Step 1. Compliment freely. When you see a younger woman doing something well, say it, out loud. Not with qualifiers, not with backhanded compliments, just genuine praise. "You look beautiful. That was brilliant. I'm impressed." Watch her light up, and watch how it makes you feel. Generosity creates joy in both directions. Step 2. Mentor without being asked. If you have wisdom, share it. Not as unsolicited advice, but as an offering. If you ever want to talk about that, I'm here. I've been through something similar. Let me know if I can help. Be a resource, not a competitor. Step 3. Stop comparing yourself to younger women. They're not your competition. They're in a different race entirely. You have depth they haven't earned yet. They have energy you've already spent. Both are valuable. Different, not better. Step 4. Amplify their voices. If a younger woman has a good idea, highlight it. If she deserves recognition, give it. If she needs support, offer it. When you lift others, you rise too. Not metaphorically. Actually, people notice who builds others up, and they want to be near that person. Rosa is 61. She used to feel threatened by her younger colleagues. They were sharper, faster, more tech-savvy. Rosa felt like she was being pushed out. So she became critical. She'd point out their mistakes, undermine their ideas subtly, assert her seniority. One day, her manager pulled her aside. "Rosa, I need you to mentor the new hire." Rosa's first instinct was to refuse, but she agreed reluctantly. The new hire was 28, brilliant, energetic, everything Rosa felt she wasn't. But as Rosa started mentoring her, something shifted. She realized this young woman wasn't a threat. She was hungry to learn, and Rosa had decades of knowledge to share. Rosa started genuinely investing in her. She celebrated her wins. She gave her credit publicly. She introduced her to contacts, and the young woman thrived. But here's what surprised Rosa. The more she gave, the more visible she became. Leadership noticed. Other young employees sought her out. She became known as the person who builds people up. Rosa told me, "I thought competing with younger women would keep me relevant, but actually, celebrating them made me unforgettable." That's the 10th habit, celebrating other women. It's the final mark of a woman who knows her worth, because you can't be generous if you're insecure, and you can't be magnetic if you're not generous. So let's bring this all together. 10 habits that make women over 50 irresistible. Take up space unapologetically. Listen with full attention. Share selectively, not desperately. Move with intention and grace. Protect your energy fiercely. Cultivate mystery without playing games. Genuinely like yourself. Have standards, not demands. Invest in your growth, not your past. Celebrate other women, especially younger ones. None of these habits require youth. None of them require beauty. None of them require perfection. They require awareness, intention, practice, and the willingness to show up as a whole human being, not an apology. This is what Walter Riso means when he says that women over 50 can be the most magnetic people in any room, not because they're trying to compete with younger women on youth, but because they've developed something youth can't manufacture: presence, wisdom, depth, self-knowledge. And when you combine those with intentional habits, you create a magnetism that has nothing to do with age and everything to do with essence. You are not fading. You are not past your prime. You are not invisible. You've just been practicing the wrong habits. The habits of shrinking, of apologizing, of competing, of seeking validation, and now you know different habits. Habits of expansion, of certainty, of generosity, of self-worth. So here's what I want you to do. Choose one habit. Just one. Not all 10. One. The one that resonated most. And practice it for the next 7 days. Just 7 days. See what shifts. See how people respond. See how you feel. And then come back here and tell me in the comments. Which habit did you choose? What changed? Because this is not just information. This is transformation. But transformation only happens through action. So act, choose, practice, and watch yourself become irresistible. Not by changing who you are, by fully being who you are. And before you go, I need 3 things from you. First, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Enough and Whole is your space for psychology, empowerment, and truth for women over 50. We're building a community of women who refuse to disappear. Be part of it. Second, comment below. Tell me which habit hit you hardest. Which one are you going to practice? I read every comment, and I want to hear from you. Third, share this video. Send it to one woman who needs to hear this. Your sister, your friend, your mother, your daughter. Because the world needs more irresistible women over 50. Women who know their worth. Women who take up space. Women who refuse to fade. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not invisible. You are enough. You are whole. Welcome back to your power.